Hello there, and welcome to another one of these videos where I take a little bit more time to explore words that over the years I've realised a lot of my students have problems with. The word I really wanted to look at today was company. Now, I'm not talking about company meaning a firm. So, I'm not talking about software companies or big international companies or anything like that. I'm talking about the word company when it's used to talk about people or groups of people. Now, this is particularly tricky because we do often use company in all kinds of different ways to talk about people. For example, here in London you have the Royal Shakespeare Company, and you also often talk about a theatre company or a dance company, where in this context it means a specific kind of artistic group of people who perform together. We've then got loads and loads of little fixed expressions or fixed collocations. So you might say that you really enjoy someone's company. Maybe you've been on a couple of dates and you text the person you've been seeing and you say, "I'd really like to see you again. I really enjoy your company." People can be very good company. So you might say, "Oh, I always love seeing Mike. He's such good company. Oh, I always really enjoy seeing Paul and Nat. They're great company." Meaning I really enjoy spending time with them. I enjoy being around them. I enjoy having the chance to spend time with them and talk to them. You might take somebody with you somewhere for company. So maybe, you have to go to the hospital for a checkup or something, and you might ask someone to come along with you to keep you company. Maybe if I know that you're having to go somewhere unpleasant, I might say, "Do you want me to come along and keep you company?" Later, you might thank me for keeping you company. Maybe if you spend a lot of time on your own and people pop round to visit you and they knock on the door and say, "Hi, I hope I'm not intruding on you. I hope you're not too busy." No, come in. It's nice to have a bit of company. It's nice to have people that I can spend time with. Maybe you like your own company or you enjoy your own company. You're good at spending time on your own. Perhaps sometimes you might go round to someone's house or knock on someone's hotel room because you want to see them. And when you get there, you realise they actually have somebody with them. So you might have to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't realise you had company." Maybe, like me, you might have elderly parents who like to have the radio on when they're in the house because they feel like they have a bit of company. It feels like having another person in the house if you've got the radio talking at you all day. We also have these kind of fixed expressions. So, we often say you can judge people by the company they keep. You can tell if a person's a good person or a bad person by looking at the kind of people they hang around with, looking at who their friends are. Maybe if you've got teenage kids, you might worry that they're getting into bad company or they're falling into bad company. They're starting to hang around with and spend time with people who are going to get them in trouble. If you're a teacher, a good knack to possess is the knack of making people feel at home in your company, making sure people feel comfortable in your company so that when you're with them, they relax automatically. We also have expressions like two's company, three's a crowd. So maybe if you're going out with a friend, excuse me, and they suggest bringing another person, you might say, no, it would be good just the two of us to catch up. Two's company, three's a crowd. Maybe when you've been going out with someone for quite a long time and they burp in front of you, for example, you might think, it's nice that you feel comfortable enough in my company to burp. It's a sign that you must trust me. Your barriers are going down. We also have the expression present company accepted. So you might be complaining about a country that you're living in and saying, oh, the people here, they're so cold and unfriendly. Present company accepted, where you mean obviously apart from you. Maybe somebody's complaining, saying, oh, I hate academics and people in education. Present company accepted, obviously. However, what I notice a lot of my students doing is using a company when I would say something like a bunch of people or a group of people. So students will say things like, they are a very nice company, whereas I would say they're a very nice bunch, you know, very welcoming, very friendly. Students will say, I'm meeting a company of friends, where again, I would say, I'm meeting a bunch of friends later. I'm meeting a group of friends later. So for the last part of this video, I'm just going to talk through some mistakes that I've heard students make where they're overusing the word company. I'll give you their examples and then I'll tell you how I would rephrase these things. So one student was talking about going to karaoke and saying, I'm happy to go if I have a good company. Whereas I would say, I'm happy to go if I've got good people to go with. A student might say, a big company of us went to the pub. Whereas again, I would say, a whole big group of us, a big bunch of us went to the pub last Friday. A student of mine said, I still have the same company of friends I had when I was at university. Again, I would say, I still have the same group or the same bunch of friends that I had when I was at university. Another student said, there were only 10 of us, so it was a small company. Whereas I would say, there were only 10 of us, so it wasn't a huge big group or anything. It wasn't a huge group, it wasn't a big group or anything. Another student was saying, talking about having to cancel meeting somebody, and she said, I told them it's not the end of the world. They can always find some other company. Again, I would say, I told them it's not the end of the world. They could always find someone else to go with. In one lesson, we were talking about swearing, and one student said, well, in my company, it's quite normal to swear. Again, I would say something like, in my social circle, or among my group of friends, among my bunch of friends, it's quite normal to swear. I notice students often do it when they're talking about numbers of people as well. So they might say things like, when you're with a company of 8 or 10 people, there can be pressure on you to conform, to fit in. Again, I'd just say, when you're with 8 or 10 other people, there can be pressure on you to conform, to fit in. And one student was talking about her birthday, and she said, I don't usually celebrate with a large company of friends. Again, I would change it to something like, I don't usually invite or meet or celebrate with loads of friends. I usually just meet, celebrate with, invite my closest friends. Okay, I hope you found this useful. In the comment section below, please do recommend any words you'd like me to look at. And if you've got any questions about the way we use the word company or any problems you've got in this area, please do also let us know. Thanks for watching.